I don't really have much time today, but I feel like I have to create this video just for you to understand that healing takes time. Now, I want to start off with how I started this whole healing phase things and how these stories got me to the point where I am now, and how I think healing it's a very beautiful thing. Cause like, let's just start off with how my father passed away and how he truly made me who I am today. I was During that day, I was in the gym. I was just playing with my friends, swimming and all that. It was around 3 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, and we were taking gym pics of our back with like good lighting, and everyone was happy. We were swimming and all that. Every time I go to places, I always remember the I always picture the moments where I was with my dad, where I am with my dad, and how he cannot be with me in this moment right now where I'm like, joyful, cheerful, and happy because he was actually hospitalized during that time. And so it wasn't long. It was like around an hour into like me being at the gym, and then I was having fun and all that, and then suddenly my mom just texted me, Abrar. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the actual word for word, because Abrar, right? That's my nickname, Abrar, or here we call it Mas, because that's how my whole family calls me, Mas. I'm gonna order you a Gojek right now to the hospital. And at that moment, my heart just raised for a few seconds, and it got me feeling like, okay, I know something happened, and I'm not sure how to process all this. But I didn't want to believe that my father was gone. But what I knew is that something happened. I knew God was telling me something. And so straight away, I packed up because I never heard my mom say it like that. She just ended with a full stop, with no caps, with no soul in that sentence, in that text message. And I went down to grab my bag. I was still a bit wet as well, and I just dap up my body, just dry myself, put on the shirt, and I told my friends that I had to go because something happened. And then, fortunately, all my friends actually understood me in that situation. They understood me so well, and so I went with a Gojek my mom ordered me, and I, during that time where I was still in the Gojek, basically I was in a bike, right, motorcycle, like Uber and all stuff. When I was still in the motorcycle with the driver, the bike driver, I thought like, please, if something happens to him, I will break up with my girlfriend. Like literally, because a few months past that, right, I was still with this girl that is not in the same religion as me, not in the same culture, and a lot of things were actually going down in a way in my perspective, but in her perspective, things were normal. But I sort of those times were the times where I was 50-50 with trying to be spiritual with God and being lovey-dovey and affectionate to my ex, to my current girlfriend during that time, because I was still around 15, 16, if I'm not mistaken, and I did a lot of inappropriate and, you know, sinful stuff, if you get what I mean, right? So that's why I wanted to approach myself in a more divine way towards life. But I'm still influenced by the friends that I have around me, amongst me, and the girl itself. But I also realized that my dad was not in a good, health status, and so I feel the need to actually have to be more spiritual so I can pray for him and more. I guess that's just like classic, like I think every guy would do that. But I sort of failed to do that, even though my father passed away after. So, in that journey from the gym to the hospital, I remember saying, if he actually passed away, then I will break up with this girl. Like, I didn't have the will to break it off just before that, because my dad used to gave me signs to actually break up with her because we're not in the same religion, but I didn't know until I learned it by myself. And so as soon as I reached there, I knew that it happened already, because when I walked inside the I remember walking the hallway to the hospital room, I was all dizzy. Just my vision was blurry, and I couldn't really process anything in my mind. I was just like walking and walking and walking, and as soon as I catch up to the door, I opened it, and I see my mom crying. I see my auntie crying there. I see my uncle calling someone with a terrified and frightened face. I see my little sister, also crying. And some people there was just staring at the wall. And at that moment, when my mom saw me, and that click of a finger, that split second, my mom went up to me and then said, "Dad is gone." And at that moment, I didn't actually cry yet. I was very numb. Well, my body tried to let the tears out, but my brain and my mind and my nervous system was all numb. My heart was actually in that 50-50. My heart was like numb, but it's still trying to reach out. It's still trying to let those tears come out in a way, But because I guess I couldn't process anything, I didn't really tear up for a couple of seconds. I was just in shock. But then, even though I started to cry, my heart was still numb, so I didn't know what really was happening. But at that moment, I sort of knew. That's the thing with healing as well, right? My mind was on this loop. It was on this belief that, okay, now I really have to take care of mom, like in that moment right now, so I should not cry, and I have to pretend that I am tough, I'm okay, and all that. I didn't really feel connection to God. I don't know what it was, but I didn't really feel that. As human, we were in shock, but I didn't really feel that type of way. And so we went to the ICU, where I saw my dad being covered by the cloth traditional pattern. The lights were white. Slowly, my mom was embracing my arm really, really hard and tightly. So it kind of hurt a bit. And so I kneeled down beside my dad's deathbed, and I opened his, when you pass away, like they close your like corpse, right? You're basically a corpse now, and you close your whole body and your face with the white cloth, or for mine is both white cloth and this traditional cloth that we have in Indonesia. And I opened it, and then I just saw him just there, like he's not talking anymore. I was in shock, I was in pain, but I just couldn't comprehend anything, couldn't process anything. And so after that, I really, really forgot what really happened. I just remember, because I was in Bali, right? And because we needed to put him in a grave in Jakarta, so we had to move. So I was just following what my uncle instructed me to do, and my mom and my auntie and the rest of my caregivers. And yeah, we just followed through we went to the airport. Sorry, we went to the, what is it called? Corpse place, so we can wash them first. I washed my dad, because in Islam we have to do this whole purification. We have to wash him before we put him in the grave, and tie him in like a white cloth and put him inside the coffin. And that's when I didn't feel human at all. At all, I didn't feel human. And so afterwards, we put the coffin in to the delivery, like near the airport. There's like a building for you to deliver stuff, like huge stuff, to another province or another country, right? And we did that, and we said our last goodbye to my dad. And then we went to Jakarta. We were crying and all that. I was just, it felt unreal. It felt really unreal. I'm sure you can relate to this as well. If you lost your dad when you were young, just like I did, you can relate to this as well. And then as soon as I get to Jakarta, everyone was, circling me, being at my auntie's house, cousins, relatives, friends, just the usual. They got me thinking, like, what am I now? What am I now without him? Who am I? Because as we know, every man carries this wound, like I always talk about. And that wound haunts us, a question with, do I have what it takes? Do I belong in this world? Do I have the capability to be out there as a man? Can I come through in life? Can I fight against the evils? Can I lead a family? Can I lead my wife? Can I attract a woman and build children? Can I do that? Can I handle all these challenges? And if it's not answered, then we will take that question into things that we're not supposed to go to, into sinful places. And that's where I took that question to, because I didn't realize that I actually needed to grieve in a way that is sort of healing me. Because yes, a lot of people tells me to grieve, but I didn't really take that grief as a proper answer to answering the question of, do I have what it takes? Because I was very impulsive on things after my father was gone. It's like, well, I sort of got this behavior because my mom is like critical and stuff. I was a perfectionist, you know. But my father passes away, and I got more, like, I got worse. I didn't have emotional freedom at all. I didn't want to speak the truth. I didn't want to be exposed that I'm vulnerable. I have that fear of exposure. And I didn't even know about healing that time, you know? Like, I know I had to grieve. I know that I'm now fatherless. That well, I have no father, right? Like, I knew that statement was in me. But I didn't know, like, this healing thing is actually the most important thing anyone needs to do in their life. Well, now I know, right? And so I experienced a lot of days where I was actually taking that question to a lot of those sinful places. Things like trying to win over a girl, trying to control and manipulate her in a way so I feel like I'm a man, because I didn't really feel like I'm a man. Well, I didn't feel, of course, I was immature. I didn't feel like a man before my father passed away. But even though after my father passed away, I still felt like I wasn't a man. Even worse then, right? Because I don't have any strength to mirror, right? Any father figure, any masculine figure, because as you know, masculinity is bestowed, is received and given by a biological father through active intervention in life. I didn't get that because we're supposed to get it like daily, right? Daily affirmation that I'm proud of you, you got what it takes. But that like cycle of affirmations and spending time and engaging in my life as a father, it stopped because he passes away. And so really I manipulate and I controlled the girlfriend that I was with, the ex, right? And I did inappropriate stuff just to feel like I'm a man. And I did stuff behind my mom that it wasn't, damn, it was very, very sinful stuff. And then I was pleasing people as well. I became a people pleaser. I didn't have any boundaries for myself. God wasn't there. I didn't even invite him to myself. But that, like, man, even after breaking up with that girl, I was trying to prove myself even more by getting with another girl. And I also just recently broke up as well. Maybe like a month, 2 months ago. And man, I cannot lead a relationship at all. Even in real life, I wasn't confident to speak up about my truth. I couldn't debate about things. I wasn't conscious of my behavior, my impulsive behavior. Sometimes I get too reactive, mad, angry easily, and I turn manipulative and I please people. And then my OCD increased and I was more of a perfectionist because I didn't want to make mistakes. Those things and beliefs are the one that we cannot put out, you know. It will stay there because we're trying to bring that question to places that we're not supposed to be at, and because the inner boy in us is trying to survive, it will project such immature reaction. And so I want to tell you that healing takes time, because I think a couple of weeks ago I was actually in the kitchen and I was there with my mom, just spending time with the family. You know, we're trying to cook some eggs because my sister wanted egg. Well, I also wanted egg. And so my sister made a mess right? The egg, like, it spilled over everywhere. And because I already knew that healing means that I'm not, I'm conscious, and I also want to bless my family as well, That's just the whole point of healing. Because when you heal, you're able to bless other people as well. You're able to heal other people. And because I know my little sister, that is still 11 years old, 10 years old, she lost a father that is not going to speak affirmation to her anymore, that is not going to answer the question of, am I lovely? And so I want to help her, and I want to bless her as well. I can't be the father, but I want to make her become more safe to not toughen up, because that's the behavior that she showed after my father passed away. Like, even worse than back then. She, like, toughened up. It's also her teenage, puberty phase in her life, but at the same time I want to allow her to become more safe to express her emotions and tell the truth. And so I don't want to have her to undergo the same mistakes as I did, which is being a perfectionist and having that perfection like behavior, right? And so when she spilled her egg, like the egg yolk just spilled out and it becomes messy, like I just laugh it out. But then my mom just like lashed out at me and said, tell her something then, right? And sort of my mind is like arguing with itself, because I don't want to identify this messiness. I don't want to indicate this messiness of just an egg spilling over as something that she needs to like fix over straight away, because my mind is on like, oh, I don't want to become a perfectionist. I don't want to become a perfectionist like a couple of times, like 5 to 10 times. So every mess that happens during that time, like I didn't want to just be assertive about it, right? I didn't want to command her to just, oh, clean it up, And so because my mom is the one who affected me, my mom gave me the mother wound, right, of being a perfectionist. And so I'm scared of making mistakes because I want to be flawless because of her, right? I don't want to put that same pain into my sister. So when I actually try to not do anything about that mess, my mom actually got mad at me, like, why are you laughing? You're supposed to tell her that she needs to clean it because it gets messy, right? Yes, messy is okay, but like, then what? Now the reason my mom says that is because after it, it got messy, like I didn't really say anything at all. So I'm also trying to mature myself. My mom is also trying to mature herself and myself, but I'm also trying to mature my sister as well. And that, like, at that moment, like, my mind was on, like, I was like not conscious of my inner boy, because it was still controlling me. When I'm about to, yes, of course I'm about to teach my sister some lesson, but when my mom lashed out, the inner boy suddenly just activates and just turns gorilla mode and just try to control my whole body. And so I kept silent in that, because I feel like, okay, I make mistakes. If I talk back to my mom, or if I have boundaries or anything, that then my mom will get angry at me and I won't earn love. That's the belief system. That's the belief that my mind was spiraling around at that split second moment. And so I failed to lead as a man at that moment. And then after that, my mom got mad at me. The situation was, the mood was not good, just because of what I did and what my sister did, and how I cannot respond to like actually teaching my sister something. And so that I learned, even though I know all this guide on healing the boy within, I'm still in the journey as well. But of course, I've learned a lot. So what I'm telling you this is that please heal yourself. Please take the time to actually know your father wound, your mother wound, and you want to have self-respect and you want emotional freedom, right? Please heal yourself, because healing takes time. And if you want to lead, if you want to be the leader in your life, if you want to become the hero, if you want to break generational curses, because what do I mean by breaking generational curses is that your ancestors, right, your grandpa, your dad, your great grandpa, and then your grandpa, and then your dad, and then your great grandma, your mom. They hold some certain like quality that can be passed down into us today. And a lot of those qualities, well, most of it, or maybe some of it, are actually sinful, are actually not allowing us to have this emotional freedom within us. And in order for us to not have that is to break that generational curses, so we won't make our children in the next generation and our wives undergo through the same pain. Right? Do we want to make our children feel enough? Do we want to make our wife feel like they can depend on us to lead the whole relationship and family? Do you want to have a conscious, healed, connected with God wife? Right? Do you want to have a wife? Do you want to attract a wife that thinks and does not depend emotionally on us and actually work their way towards being more divine, which is towards their creator, towards God? Right? In order for you to attract this type of family, wife, and actually heal the boy within in your children as well, you have to do this heavy inner healing journey work within yourself first. Imagine you wake up one day when you have a family feeling so fulfilled in your life. You bring out that gift in yourself, that true self that is not stuck in the survival mode of trying to have this defense mechanism because your inner boy dictates your life. You don't want your inner boy to dictate your life. Your inner boy is immature. You want to be mature, right? You want your mature self to dictate your life, not the immature within you. But in order for you to do that, you must first heal yourself. You have to be God conscious. You have to bring that wound into God. Because if not, then you will become the villain of your children, of your wives. You're not going to become the hero, right? You want to become the Superman for your children, for your wives. Do you want to become the Iron Man that will sacrifice his life and save the day because he knows that he's got what it takes? Do you want to become what? Name a hero, right? Batman. Do you want to become Batman who saves the night and to protect his people and fight off the villains? You want to break that generational curses because the devil keeps on feeding on that wound on us. Just imagine you being playful with your kids. You build sandcastles, you have this wild spirit in you to express your emotions freely. That's why the whole product of this healing the boy within is actually having the ability to express yourself freely, right? With truth, with boundaries, and not just stuck in the survival mode, which can lead you to people pleasing, to manipulation, to guilt tripping people, right? Because you want to be God conscious and you want to walk in the path with God, so you can become the hero for your children, for your wives. Just imagine that. Imagine you laughing with them, smiling. Imagine you see your children's just always asking that "do I have what it takes" question to you, and you respond to them with "yes, son, yes, my daughter, I'm proud of you. You look lovely. You're lovely. You do have what it takes. I love you so much. You're deeply within my heart. Deeply, I love you. I love you." Imagine what our sons and daughters will grow up as. They're not going to be that boy or girl that is stuck in the survival mode. They're going to be that mature, wild, free sons and daughters that we want to have, and it is also God conscious. Because what we're doing here is the goal for us to be in an afterlife, right? To go back to paradise and not be controlled by the devil. We want to battle against the devil. That's why you want to always have to keep your faith, which is your sword, to keep your wisdom, which is your shield, up and running to defeat the devil within you. If you want to have more guide and if you want to become an expert on this, then link in the description below. I'll show you everything that you have to know about healing the inner boy within, or healing the child. We're going to do a bunch of inner child work, shadow work. If you want to be conscious of your triggers and impulses and your reactions to people, that how it actually sabotages your relationship with them, top link in the description below. The price is really cheap, so you can just join anytime. No pressure. But if you want me to personally help you on this, then check it out. Link in the description below, more advice. And I'll see you in another one. Goodbye.